What is up, Kick and Bass Gang? It's your boy Morgan from FOMO, and today we're making some beats from the underground.
Straight from the underground. The underground. The underground. The underground. Straight from the underground.
As always, make sure to subscribe for more sauce, and if you guys want to download the project file or need some fresh sounds, we just dropped the Kick and Bass Underground Serum preset pack. Links are in the description below. Let's get it. All right, so this is the demo track for the Underground pack. So we have 5 separate drop ideas. Each of them are 2 bars, and all of the sounds come from the Underground pack. So let's take a listen to this first drop here.
Straight from the underground. The underground. The underground.
Nice. So let's check out the sound design going on here. So the first sound we have is this acid stab. And if we check out the preset, we just have basic shapes, a saw wave in the bass octave, and then we have envelope 1 controlling the bandpass filter, which gives it all of the acid tone. So if we move the cutoff macro, which is set to the filter, we could dial in the tone of the sound, and I just set it to a sort of a deeper range just to give it that dirtiness. And if we check out the effects here, we have a compressor set to multiband mode right here. So this really brings out the tone. So it just gels all the frequencies together. Then we have distortion fully blasted. So anytime you have acid sound design, you want to have a bunch of distortion just to bring out the tone of the filter. So it's almost nothing with the distortion off, and then so that really brings the whole tone of the sound out. Then we just have some minor space with dimension, some sculpting with EQ, and a little bit more space with chorus, and the reverb is off. Then in the post-processing, we have overdrive, again, just to blow up the tone of the sound. And this is just stock settings. Then after that, we have erosion. So this is just adding white noise to the sound, and you could set the frequency range of the white noise with the frequency band right here, and then the width of it as well. So I sort of just gave it tone in the mid-range where the sound sits, and then the amount is just set to 18. And then after that, we just have LFO tool just to duck it to the kick. Nice. Next, we have this wobble sound, which I think might be one of the better sounds in the pack. That's just nice. So if we check out this one, it's just 2 sine waves, and the second one is just up 3 semitones, which gives it the weirdness. So if we fuck with this, yeah, so you kind of just got to dial that into taste. And then we have LFO 1 set to 1/32. And this is on both of the levels of oscillator A and B and the noise. And the key thing with this is actually the noise, because without it, it's pretty empty. But when you add this in, it just adds a lot of fullness to it. And then if we check out the effects, it's pretty similar to the other sounds. It just has multiband set to about 30% on the mix, just to bring out the noise. And then some minor distortion, sample and hold just to give it more tone, and then the reverb. And I actually turned off that reverb and did a reverb thrower on this one. So this just gives us a wetter reverb as the sound goes on, just to give it more space. Let's check out the next sound here. So this is an anti-up kind of sound. Super fucking weird. Let's check it out here. So oscillator A and B, both sine waves. And the second one is up 7. Then we just have envelope 1 set to a low pass filter in the effects, and a bunch of distortion. Yeah, so the distortion is everything. So whenever you have the a fifth relationship, it just distorts really well. You could probably also do like 5 and 3. Yeah. So you just got to dial that into taste as well. But the fifth, which is up 7, just sounds the best to me. Then we have sort of a similar thing going on with the effects as well. Then for the MIDI on this one, we just have the root note going up an octave, and then this one is pretty swung. And then on the second part of the phrase, everything is just up one semitone. So it goes E up an octave, back down to E. And then in the second part, it just goes F up to F and then back down to F. Noise. Let's check out the bass going on here. So this is another preset from the pack as well. It's just a fucking blown out 808. So if we check this out. So we just have we have a sine wave and a triangle wave, and then we have a bit of noise going on, and then it's just super distorted in the effects. So whenever you want to make an 808 sort of sound, you just got to distort a sine wave or a triangle. Then we just have LFO1 set on the frequency just to add to the attack of the sound. And then we have LFO1 set to the coarse pitch of both of them, which gives it the knock in the beginning. And then for the notes, they're just all on the kicks for the first part, and then it matches the phrasing of the lead for the second part. So it's just on the first kick here, and then it follows the same pattern on the other notes. Then in the post, we just have an LFO tool. All right, let's check out the second part right here. So this is more of an odd mob style drop. So let's check out the sound here. So in Serum here, we just have two detuned saw waves. One's an octave above. Then we have envelope 1 on the filter with a little bit of attack just to give it that sort of like slap back sound. Nice. And then in the effects, just some distortion, OTT, some sculpting with EQ, and then a little bit of stereo width. And in the MIDI, we just have, so we're in E minor, and then it just goes minor second down to E, and then down to the low E. So any sort of like darker sounding music always utilizes the minor second relationship. So that's either like the C to B if you're in E minor, so, or the F to the E. Oh, nice, nice, nice. So you just got to mess around with octaves and minor second relationships to get that darker sound. Then we just have overdrive just to give it sort of a brassy tone. Some more OTT. With the mids boosted just to give it more presence. And then a clipper and ducking out some of the lows here. And a fat reverb just to make it fat. And some sidechain with the LFO tool. So the next sound is going to be this downer, which is also pretty fucking sick. Ooh. So this one, we have two sine waves, or three sine waves, and then we have LFO 5, which is set to the fine tune on oscillator B. So that's what's giving it that like wobble effect. And then we have LFO 4, which is set to the master tune in all kick and bass presets. And this is just going down roughly 2 semitones over the phrase of a bar. And the way this is set up is the middle is going to be 0, and then the bottom would be down an octave, and the top would be up an octave. So you could just drag that around to taste. And in post, we just have blown to shit with the distortion, and then a little bit of EQ. And then just sculpting it with some distortion and EQ in the post. And the last response to this sound is this Wubby guy. And this one is a dark Wubby sort of sound. So we have envelope 1 on the cutoff right here. And then we have Icon Has Kick, which is sort of a gritty wavetable, which gives it the, the girth. And then a saw wave to give it some width with the unison pulled up right here. And envelope 1 is also set to the wavetable position as well. And then you could automate the cutoff to change it over time if you wanted to. And then again, similar sort of thing in the effects, just compression, distortion, and some stereo width. Let's check out the bass here. We got another preset from the pack, and it's just an offbeat pattern right here, with again the minor second going up right here, and it's pretty much just a saw based pluck. Let's check out the third idea here. So this is sort of like a Chris Lorenzo style drop. So we got a restab on the downbeat here, and this is just going to be 2 saw waves. One's an octave above, just to give it more tone. And then we have a little bit of noise going on here. And again, just blown to shit. So distortion's your best friend for like darker sound design. Then in post, we have overdrive, just to blow it up a little bit more. And then erosion, just to add some more noise. And then we're just taking out the bass and having some sidechain. Then we have the pluck thing below that. So if we check out this guy, we got a square and a saw, and then the oscillator B, which is the saw, is up 2 octaves, and again, the up a fifth with the semitones. So again, you just want to mess around with basic shapes and then some sort of semitone relationship with a lot of these darker sounds. And in the post, again, we just blow it up. So the distortion just adds a bunch of bass to the sound, and then we add some stereo width with the chorus. And then again, just experimenting with distortion and compression in post. So when I'm making sound design like this, it's always like a checklist in my head of things that I know might work, and then just messing around with them until I get it to fit. So you'll see like most of the sounds have overdrive and OTT on them, and then some sort of EQ. So it's just about messing around with these and then getting the sound to fit. And again, we have just the minor second going into the root note for the MIDI. And then some reverb throw just to lead into the next bar. Let's check out the fourth drop here. So on the downbeat here, we have a wub in the root note. Let's check this guy out. So we have 2 basic shapes again. One in the bass octave and the other 4 octaves up. And then we have FM from B. So anytime you want a wub sort of sound, it's always good to mess around with FM. So if we change the amount here, got a bunch of possibilities by just messing around with the FM amount, which is set right here. And then the envelope 1, which is set to the filter cutoff, is what gives you the wubby sort of tone. And then again, same sort of stuff in the post right there. And then this lead right here is just going to be a saw sort of pluck. So we just have 2 saw waves, and the second one is just going to be up 7. So if we were to just have this in the root note, it's pretty much shit. But if we do this up 7 is what gives us most of the tone. Then we just have some pink noise right here, and then distortion, compression, EQ, same as a bunch of the other sounds, with some LFO tool in EQ8. Let's check out this last one here. So for the bass in this guy, we just have a typical rolling bass. All in the root note, just doing a 16th note syncopation. So if we check out the preset here, we just have LFO1, which is controlling the level of both oscillators, which are both saw waves. So saw waves are a pretty good go-to for rolling basses. And then we just have LFO1 also set to the filter cutoff. And in post, again, with the multiband and some more filtering and distortion. Let's check out the sound design here. So the first sound is this rave stab, just with 2 notes, both in the root note. And if we check out the patch, it's just a saw wave with a band pass, which is giving it most of the tone. Then some noise. And again, same thing in the post-processing with some sculpting with the EQ. And then lastly, we have this little donk roller. So if we check out the MIDI here, we just have the root notes, and then we have one on the kick here, and then sort of an exponential rhythm slowing down, and then one more note to finish off the phrase. And then if we check out the patch itself, we just have a square and a sign with FM from B. So that's what's giving it that metallic tone. So if we listen to this, you just got to find that sweet spot with the FM. And then we have envelope 1 on the filter cutoff, which gives us the pluckiness of it, and multiband in post, which brings out the punch of it, and then some distortion, and then an EQ with the envelope on the gain of the high shelf, which also gives it that attack as well. So every time it hits, it boosts the top end. Then in post, we just scoped out the lows and some of the highs, tame it with the standard multiband comp, and then add some sidechain with LFO tool. All right, gang, that's going to do it for the track breakdown. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so we could take over the world. And if you guys need the preset sauce or want to download the project file, links are in the description below. Peace.